Do is to turn off the fuel. Second is to remove the ignition switch key and the choke lever from its position. To undo the heat box cover. It's because you need to get to the prime. Undo the two screws on the other side of the heat box first. One is 10 millimeter socket, the other one is 13 millimeter socket. And then undo the two screws in the front. Undo the cables for the ignition switch. And this way now you can lift the heat box. Undo the two screws. The fuel hose. To the side. There is a gasket on the other side of the plate. Now you just slide the carburetor slightly out, halfway I would say. Remove the governor spring from the carburetor, and also the lever, the governor lever. Now you can take the carburetor out, and rather than trying to fix this carburetor, we're going to put a brand new one. So rather than buying another carburetor and installing it and have the same problem a year from now, not being able to start the snowblower, we're going to take a special carburetor, which is a genuine carburetor as it is, but has got the purge valve installed to the carburetor already. It comes as a part of a kit from CleanCarburetor.com, and the kit includes the purge gas and the purge valve that is already installed, in this case on the carburetor. With this, after the fuel gets drained out of the carburetor before the storage period, the purge gas hose gets attached to the purge valve and pressurizes the internal of the carburetor, removing every single drop of fuel. including that fuel, that capillary effect, kept inside the very tiny holes inside the jets. With this, the carburetor gets left into like a brand new condition, and next season when you attempt to start it, it will start for sure. This is sold by CleanCarburetor, and it can be purchased online or on eBay. The instructions are in here, also on the can, on how to use it. So this time we're going to install a genuine carburetor from Ariens with the purge valve. Install the carburetor. With the new carburetor on hand, you want to make sure that you put the new gaskets on both sides of the heat shield or the adapter plate. So the first thing you do after you slide the carburetor bar lever to the carburetor trowel plate, that's it. You slide it back in. Make sure your choke lever works fine. And put the outer face of the carburetor gasket. And then the steel plate. 2 10mm nuts. Bear in mind that the engine is all in metric system, so you'll need the metric tools, metric wrenches or sockets to work on the engine, while the rest of the chassis, it is standard made by. Then you will add the fuel line to the carburetor. Okay. Then you add the ignition wires to the ignition switch. Of the engine and the 2 screws. Two more screws on the other side. And torque the nuts, the screws. One's on the other side. Reinstall the heat box cover. And then add the lever for the choke. Just push hard on it, make sure it works, and also the ignition switch key. And sure the primer valve works. Put the fuel on. Make sure that the primer valve works. put it to ignition, add choke, key is in. So we can try starting the unit. This will be all about the installation of the carburetor. And